Hi, it's Paul Blough, and we're going to be talking today about the importance of encryption regarding HIPAA. So do you have to encrypt your data according to HIPAA? Well, you don't have to, but boy, howdy, are you going to be in trouble if you don't. So encryption is the get out of jail free card when it comes to transporting and moving your data. And if you move data, you're sending it over the public transport, which is like through email or a text message, or really pretty much any way that you move data from one place to the other. And if it's not encrypted, they actually consider that to be a breach because somebody could intercept that and look at that information in between. And you say, well, if I'm sending an email to John, how would anybody get in the middle of seeing it? Well, what you don't realize is that when you're sending an email, it goes through multiple other computers before it ever gets to the intended recipient. And somewhere along that line, there could be a bad guy that's taking a picture, so to speak, and looking at the information that's going out of your computer and into John's computer and could potentially intercept that sensitive data. So anytime we transport information, whether that's via email, text message, file transport through the internet, physically transport the information like using a USB drive for backups or tape drives for backups or USB drives for backups, really any way that we move data from point A to point B, we have to encrypt that data. There are various programs that can be used to do that. What you really need in HIPAA is one that attests to the fact that your device and your system is encrypted and can prove that that encryption has taken place so that in the event of a breach, an accidental loss. Let me give you a scenario. Suppose that you've got a laptop and maybe you're a roaming nurse or a doctor who works at home, and you take your laptop home with you and somebody breaks into the house and steals that laptop, and it had, oh, I don't know, maybe 20 patient record related information onto that laptop. Now, what will happen in the event that somebody breaks into your house, gets through your security system, steals your laptop, and it has those 20 records on it? Well, you'll have to report that as a breach because they gained access to information. And honestly, every time that this is reported that I can find, every example I can see, everybody gets fined for it, and they get fined a lot of money in the hundreds of thousands of dollar range. You're probably thinking, well, wait a minute, I just had my laptop stolen, and why is the government punishing me for that? Because the government wanted you to encrypt that laptop. That's the penalty that they're really imposing upon you, is because you didn't encrypt it. If you encrypted the laptop, you actually, per HIPAA regulations, don't even have to report it as a breach because they can't get into that data. The data is all scrambled and can only be accessed if they know that secret code to be able to get in and access your computer. Now, all encryption's not set up exactly the same. You can't assume that your laptop is encrypted. You need to ask, you need to verify that, and it is your obligation to figure that out and to attest the fact that it is being done. Now, we actually in healthcare recommend that every computer be encrypted, not just laptops and portables, but even desktops that are located physically in the practice, because in the event that somebody breaks into the practice and steals one of those desktops, well, if it's not encrypted, it's a breach as well. Even though you had a security system and you had locked doors and you had chains on the computers, and if the computer gets stolen, they're going to consider it a breach, they're going to find you at fault, and they're going to assess a very, very large fine against you. So we're actually recommending encrypting everything and mandating that and enforcing that. So the same thing comes true with like USB drives and any kind of portable data that you may use. It needs to be encrypted automatically. Doesn't even need to be an option of using it any other way. Encryption that is done correctly, though, really is powerful in getting you out of a lot of the risks related to the penalties with HIPAA. So again, strongly recommend that you enable encryption on all things. Email transport, you only use text messaging that is encrypted. Not all text messages is encrypted. Most text messages are not encrypted, so don't communicate via text message unless you are 100% sure that it's encrypted in both directions. Any type of transport of that data, if it's on a USB hard drive or a jump drive, those devices have been encrypted, so if somebody intercepts it, they can't see what's on there. Anytime you do a file transfer, that's over an encrypted pathway. and even on computers and devices at rest within your organization, that those are encrypted as well. If you'll do that, you'll greatly reduce your risk and the ability for anybody to access that information inappropriately, which could ultimately end up in a fine. We want to make sure that you don't get fined, so we want to get you to follow these procedures. Make sure that you encrypt, and if you're not sure, you need to ask about it.